Happy Friday. Good morning. It's Friday, thank goodness. I'm happy to see that it's Friday today. How about you guys? Any plans for the weekend? My kids are excited. It's Friday. You know, it was a shorter week for them with Labor Day, but I think it kind of put them in vacation mode a little bit. So, good morning, everyone. Nice to see you here. I'm Dr. Tricia Pingel, and today we're doing our Q&A session, which means you can ask me questions. Good morning, Derek. Good morning, Sue. And I will do my best to answer. These come from the top of my head. Sometimes I kind of have to look something up. Sometimes I have to jog that memory. I will admit I didn't sleep great last night. Lots on my mind, and so hopefully my brain will start to kick in with a little bit more coffee here and be able to answer your questions. So, good morning, Richard. Good morning, Carolyn. Good morning, Patricia. Good morning, everybody. TGIF, I'm with you. I am. It's beautiful here in Arizona the last couple days. I don't know where it came from, but it's like 85 degrees, which is in Arizona, because there's very minimal humidity, is absolutely stunning. So we have another cooler day today, which is great, and then I think it goes back up. But we're trying to all enjoy the weather. So hopefully you guys are getting that as well. So if you have a question for me, go ahead and spit it out. And I will kind of just start watching the scrolls. If I see it, I will do my best to answer it if I can. If it's not something that's my area, I'll let you know, but I'll do my absolute best. I have a question about vitamins. Carolyn, you're loving the vitamins from me, but do you still take your one a day? In general, it's hard. There's a lot of limitations. I can't give direct medical advice over social media. It's just not an option. However, I don't have a multivitamin in my line. So, you would want to talk to your doctor about if there's any overlap. Typically, the ones that I carry can be used in addition to a multivitamin. Not knowing your health condition, not knowing which multivitamin you're using, it's always good to check with your doctor. But in general, I will be adding a multivitamin for that reason because it goes nicely with them. So I don't, always check with your doctor on that. But in general, the vitamins that I've put out have generalized recommendations that have been recommended. I can't say a whole ton about it, unfortunately, directly. It is cooler here. Where are you at, Lynn Marie? And Marie made it. The scrub from yesterday you made? How did it go? Good morning, Jay. Is there a live about liver? Yeah, I do have a live about liver. In fact, I have an article about the liver at drpingel.com. Let me see if I can pull up the name for you of the article. And I do have a live about the liver. In fact, I think I've even replayed it on Facebook and Instagram. You can go through my feed. You could also look on my YouTube channel. If you type in Dr. Tricia Pingel on YouTube, you should be able to find it, and the liver live should be there. I'd like to do a little bit more on the liver, and I do actually have a liver supplement in the works for the next rollout. Many of you that answered the survey said you wanted a liver supplement. So I definitely have been working on that for you, and it's one that I've taken for years. So I stand by it. There is an article called What is Liver Detox? On drpingel.com. I also talk a lot in most of the articles about the importance of the liver and what the liver does. People immediately think toxin removal, but it's also highly regulated in a lot of nutritional factors, hormone regulation, skin health. I mean, it's involved in a lot. It's kind of our janitor that goes in and makes sure everything is doing what it's supposed to do, clean up every night, those types of things. And when you're under a lot of stress, you don't do those maintenance tasks as easily. So the liver is a very critical part to the body, and when you're under stress, the liver does not work as effectively as it should. So the liver is a very, very important topic. So read that article. Let me know if you have any further questions on that. What kind of deodorant do you recommend without aluminum? You know what? I actually use quite a few of them, and I think it comes down to it comes down to which one works for you and the climate that you're in. My favorite deodorant that actually works is called Lume, Lume. However, because it's more of a liquid and not a solid, I do find that when I use it too much, I get irritated. So I'd love it if they made a solid. So I kind of rotate between that one and a couple others that are solids. I've used Loctane. They have a verbena deodorant that I like. I've used, oh goodness, what's the name of it? Shoot, I wish I was in my my medicine cabinet. Darn it, it's gonna come to me. I have not had great success with the Tom's brand. For me, there's one, it's like citrus and bergamot. Cannot think of the name off the top of my head. My best suggestion on the aluminum-free deodorants is to rotate. Try them. Now, when it is 117 degrees outside here in Arizona and I'm going to be outside, I will occasionally use an aluminum deodorant. However, I very rarely use it. And so sometimes I have to compromise. If I'm going to be going to an event and I have to be dressed up and it's going to be out in the heat, I'm not going to take a risk with the normal deodorant. But for the most part, I use those ones mostly. I really do like Schmidt's. Yeah, Schmidt's might be the name of one of the ones. Yeah, like the citrus and bergamot. There's a lavender. And there's another brand too that I've really liked. And it's just not popping in my head. The key with the ones that don't have aluminum is you have to put them on all day. So that's the hard part. So when I do have to use an aluminum deodorant, which thank goodness is not that often, probably a few times a year, it's usually because I'm going to be outside or in warm areas close to a bunch of people for a long period of time without being able to go reapply deodorant. But those are my favorites. And if Lume is watching, can we have a solid? Because that one works really well. You have to order that one. I don't think you can get it locally. Oh, there was one that was a paste. Gosh darn it. I'll look it up and write it down. All right, let's see. Carolyn just doesn't want to get too much calcium. I agree with you. And you have to look at the balance of them, and look at the total amount in them and make a decision. Also, the absorbability of it as well. And then looking at health conditions, speaking with your doctor, those types of things. I mean, so. Have you heard that thing about tofu affecting estrogen levels? I have. I think a lot of people are real quick to blame tofu immediately. They're like, oh, it's the tofu. And they don't look at all of the other processed foods and environmental exposure that they're exposing themselves to. We have estrogen in a lot of our foods. A lot of it is from processed, genetically modified foods and soys that are be putting into our products. So if you take somebody that's eating the standard American diet, eating a lot of boxed foods, colored foods, processed foods, flavorings, all that type of thing, they're getting a large amount of soy in their diet to begin with. And then when you add tofu on top of it, you can also see some changes in estrogen. Now, with that said, I mean, soy isoflavones from tofu, from soy, are used in a lot of breast cancer treatments. So there's a balance. It's all about a balance. If you're eating a lot of fake tofu dogs all day long, you're going to you could potentially completely throw your hormone levels off. For me, I use a non-genetically modified tofu, okay? And I use that as part of a supplement in my diet for many of the other plant-based foods that I'm eating. I'm not eating boxed foods with it. I'm not eating fake veggie burgers and soy dogs and, soy sauces and things like that. I'm eating a pure non-genetically modified tofu, in a meal, right? And I personally have not seen any impact on my hormone levels. I haven't seen massive impacts in my patients' hormone levels when they're utilizing soy in that manner, especially as a whole non-GMO soy. Unfortunately, our diets here in America are laden with crappy soy products. And that is a problem. And the question comes down to why. And I don't know the answer to this, okay? I'm just posing a question, okay? I think it's Mari, right? Mari? Posing the question is it the soy or is it the bogged down liver unable or poor digestion or whatnot, unable to metabolize the soy? I don't know. I think that if it was always the soy, you would see that consistently across the board with every single person, and I don't. So to me, I have to look at the whole body. Is the body detoxifying? What other types of foods is it eating? Is it only eating soy products? Is it eating an abundance of soy products? Where were the hormones to begin with? Did they have PCOS? Did they already have excessive estrogen? Did they have genes for excessive hormone storage? What's their liver clearance? I could go on all day. You have to look at all those factors and then decide. So I would not say with 100% certainty that if you eat tofu, you will absolutely have increases in estrogen. No, I think you have to look at it as part of a holistic picture. That's my answer on that one. I heard that quinine is good to take along with zinc. Oh, you're meaning as a replacement for the highly controversial drug in regards to the highly controversial virus? Is that what you're making me talk about today? I don't see the need for it. Most people fight the virus no problem. The common reaction is recovery without intervention. That's the most common reaction. I believe it's a 98% recovery rate. Now, there may be some that were hospitalized in that. The hospitalization rate is dropping. The death rate is dropping. So, do I recommend zinc in general for immune support, thyroid support, general wellness? Absolutely. Why? Because zinc does have a documented, studied effect on T cell response, which is what helps us respond and kill off invaders of any virus, bacteria, or otherwise. So more important to your question, I would focus on the zinc component and not so much on tonic water. I don't think you're going to get much necessary benefit from that. I know this will probably lead, am I for or against the drug? I'm for a decision to be made between a doctor and a patient per patient. I'm not for or against anything. I think every single person is different. Every single drug is different and affects someone differently. So that's the job of the doctor and the patient. That relationship is key. Honest communication to decide mutually what the best course of action is. And so I like to have things available to do so. Whether or not I use them is a case-by-case basis. But to say that drinking tonic water is going to have any particular effect on it, I don't think there's any studies that are I could definitively say yes or no. Lots of studies on zinc. Lots of studies on zinc. I have an article on zinc if you haven't seen it, Richard. Take a look at that. Some links to that, what zinc does for the body, what it does for the immune system. Okay? Aren't there a lot of enzymes created in the liver? Yep. The liver does a lot more than you think it does. It also regulates your blood sugar, your baseline blood sugar. What? Has a role in that as well. Okay, primal pit paste. That might be it, actually. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to move over to Instagram for a second. I do see a bunch of questions there on Facebook. Give me a second. Okay. All right, let me scroll down here, guys. All right. What shampoo and conditioners do you recommend that use? You know what, Mariah? I love O and M. The letter O, the at symbol, and an M. O and M, or Organic Whey. That's what I use. Love it. My hair's never been better. Hands down. I use it for color. Well, I don't color it. My hairstylist colors it, but I use all organic and low chemical products as low as possible. Obviously, when you dye hair, you have some sort of chemical, but it's been an amazing transition from the traditional products to these particular products for me. My hair has never been thicker, greater, amazing. It's shiny. I love it. I have no problem with it. So I use O&M shampoo and conditioner, and Organic Way is another brand. So check those out for sure. What about nattokinase? What do you mean by natto? Or to eat? I haven't played with that much. Let me refresh my memory, which is always a good thing to do. Oh, okay, yeah, the Japanese food from soybeans. Yeah, so it's a fermented soy, right? Yeah, similar to tofu and tempeh, and I see you're asking about tempeh as well. I don't have any problems with those. In general, with an over plant-based diet. If you're eating a lot of inflammatory meats, you're throwing in a lot of processed foods, adding soy on top of it may not be as beneficial. But when you're primarily plant-based and you're doing mostly vegetables, nuts, and seeds, those types of organic, properly sourced and fermented soys can actually be of great benefit. So it's person by person again. I haven't really eaten natto much. I'll have to go. We have a Japanese restaurant down the street that hopefully will reopen soon. They've been doing takeout, but I really want to go in person. I'll have to ask about it. Thank you for that suggestion. Queening has its own complications. Exactly. I mean, everything can have a potential complication. So you really have to decide what works for you and your body with your physician and make the best decision you can in that moment. And if you've done proper education, if you've taken the time to discuss stuff with your physician and both of you are like, you know what, this looks like a good option, then you can feel comfortable in it and you stand by it. And if you can't come to that, you're like, man, I'm just not getting a clear answer. I just don't understand. I just don't know. Then the education has not been sufficient enough for you to make a informed decision. And that's the role of the doctor-patient. The doctor is to inform you of the options, help you understand them, talk through them with you, educate you, so that you can say, yeah, you know what, I'm going to do that. Or, you know what, I'm just not going to do it, right? So yeah, I agree. Zinc is awesome. I take it every day. Is the liver the only organ that regenerates? I think in general, although I want to say there's another one, but it's not as abundant. I know that what's great about the liver is you could donate your liver to somebody and it will actually grow back, which is crazy, which is absolutely nuts. But I do think there are other tissues that will regenerate as well. But yeah, I mean, the liver's the big one. I've been looking, okay. You're welcome, Mariah. My pleasure. Okay, back over to Facebook here. Thank you, Instagram. I got your questions. Any tips for losing weight? Did you happen to see my live the other day on stress and losing weight? I think stress response is really important. I do have a program, a 30-day program. Well, it's written for 30 days. You can do it lifelong. It's meant to be sustainable for the rest of your life, but it teaches you how to recognize stress in the body, focus on removing it, proper diet. It has a cookbook. I always recommend the more plants in your diet, the better. I also, and that's whole food plants because of the nutrients. So stress, weight gain, disease, environmental toxins, all these things change our nutrition over time. And so having proper nutrition is essential if you want to lose weight, because the body only loses weight when it has the tools that it needs to create energy. So if you have a nutrition deficiency, let's say you're low in vitamin C, vitamin Bs, maybe you've been under stress for years, or maybe you're on a diabetic medication that lowers your B12, or maybe you've taken a ton of antibiotics and your gut flora is just off, and therefore absorption and nutrition of what you're eating is not working. Anytime that the body doesn't have the tools it needs for its assembly line, it's going to store fat. It's as simple as that. You have to provide the machine with what it needs to be metabolically active. And the problem is that everybody's needs are slightly different, right? Because we're all slightly different. So when someone comes out and says, well, I have a diet plan that applies to everybody, I'm always like, yeah, no, you don't. Because you don't. I guarantee you, if I did their diet plan, it would not work the same in me as it would probably in you, right? So I do think focusing on nutrition is very important. Focusing on stress response is very important. Putting in and replenishing those nutrients with your diet, very important. And possibly with supplements, depending on the situation, in combination with exercise. Now, when I say exercise, a lot of the weight loss programs say, oh, well, you should walk 30 minutes, 3 times a week. That's maintenance. So if you're trying to lose weight, you do absolutely have to be moving every single day. And the muscles that you activate, the muscles that you train, need to also keep you stable so that you can work out and you don't get injured. So that is why I do things like Pilates and yoga and dancing and things like that, because they keep me strong, right? And they build those muscles that keep me upright, that help my digestion. So Pilates actually helps your digestion. It helps massage the internal organs, gets the stuff moving, right? So does exercise. So those are some tips. I think patience, understanding, and gratitude for the body that you've been given is also a very important part of it, because I don't think there's anyone who's 100% happy with their body ever. I think we always find every little thing wrong, and sometimes we just need to take a moment to be gracious. And, you may expect, oh, I'm supposed to be losing 5 pounds a week or whatever, and let's say you only lose 1, and then you beat yourself up about it. Your body is giving you what you're giving it, and it's trying to work with you. So I think having an open mind, being positive, continuing to recognize that every day is a new day and every moment is a new moment, and to be in the now and just keep working towards your goals is very important. One more thing on that, I definitely recommend, if you're someone who eats a lot of dairy, to cut that out for a good 3 months and see how much of a difference that makes in your metabolic rate. It is a different feel on Instagram than Facebook, huh? Yeah, different camera, right? I just had someone pop from Facebook over to Instagram. And they're like, wow, it's totally different. It seems like the same because I'm recording at the exact same time, but it's 2 different cameras, right? So different, a horizontal versus a vertical. I'll come back to those. I see the questions. Hang on, guys, on Instagram. The liver digests foods by producing bile to break down fats, removing toxins, breaking down and storing some vitamins and minerals. The pancreas produces enzymes to help break down the gallbladder, stores bile. Exactly. You're right on. So these all work together. The liver, the gallbladder, the pancreas work together. The endocrine system works, which is all the hormones, works with the liver too. So lymphatic system works with the liver as well. How we remove things through the body, how we remove things from the blood. The liver basically is a pass-through for every single system. It is critical, right? People who have significant damage to their liver, let's say liver cancers, they don't live long, right? They can't, because it's so critical. The only thing you have going for it is it can regenerate itself, right? So thank you for the tofu estrogen advice. I eat vegan. I don't want to eat fake meat, so that helps. I need more options besides veggies. Yeah, non-GMO tofu. I do things like last night we did General Tso's tofu, which was basically you cut the tofu into blocks. I dry it out with a paper towel. I roll it in a little bit of arrowroot powder, kind of like a coating. There we go. Sorry about that, Instagram. You can roll it in arrowroot. Some people roll it in cornstarch. I tend to use arrowroot, but it doesn't really matter. Put a little bit of oil in a pan, kind of fry it up, and then to firm it on all sides. So it's a little fried tofu, I guess. And I use avocado oil, coconut oil, those types of things. And then the sauce, you can do like fresh ginger, a little bit of tamari. You can do honey, sriracha. I'm trying to think, rice vinegar. Definitely need to pick up rice vinegar. And you just and garlic and mix it all in. Sometimes I do the honey, sometimes I don't. But you're basically doing like garlic, ginger, a little bit of tamari, some sort of spice, whether it's sriracha or chili paste or something. And definitely rice vinegar. Mix it up, and then you take it off the heat and you pour it over the top of the tofu and let it just kind of sizzle and absorb all that sauce. Heaven. So last night we served it over quinoa with roasted broccoli, and it was incredible. But being able to add some of those things in, definitely look for organic, non-GMO. I would not get genetically modified soy anything. Deal? Okay. Same goes for like the tamari, any type of sauce. Make sure it's an organic, non-GMO source. Okay? Should we take zinc with something else? I have a zinc lozenge I can use. Can I just take that alone? You can take zinc alone in general. I will caution you that most zinc lozenges are zinc gluconate, which does not absorb very well. So if you're looking for an absorbable zinc, you want to look for zinc bisglycinate, which is 2 glycine molecules, or zinc picolinate. If you're looking for one and you don't have one, check out totalhealthapothecary.com. totalhealthapothecary.com. That would be my supplement line. And there is one called Total Zinc, and that is a 54 milligram zinc bisglycinate. And it's 1 capsule for that. And it's very easy to take. And you do not have to take it with other stuff. There's no rules on that. In general, from the RDA, there's no particular rule that says you have to take it with food. There's no particular that has to take it by itself with something else. It really comes down to tolerability. I take mine at bedtime because that's when I remember. That's literally the only reason I take it at bedtime is that I do not remember to take things during the day. I am far too busy. So I take all of my stuff, right before bed. I hope that helps. Does zinc help with both hypothyroidism and hyperthyroidism? Yes, minerals in general are healthy to the thyroid. Absolutely. What do you recommend for vertigo? Vertigo, hands down, one of the hardest things to treat. And I'll tell you why. Because you have to find the source. So for example, many people do like the Epley maneuvers, moving around in the ears, reorganizing, all the small little ossicles and bones in the ears. Well, if that's not the cause of your vertigo, if the cause of your vertigo is low blood sugar, you can flip yourself around all you want. It's not going to do anything, right? Sometimes it's a toxin level. Sometimes it's hormone shifts. Sometimes it's stress. Sometimes it's problems in the ear canal. Sometimes it's blood sugar changes. Sometimes it's dehydration. I would say hands down, one of the most common things that I see with vertigo in general is dehydration, chronic dehydration. So then you have to figure out, are you chronically dehydrated because you're not drinking enough on a daily basis? Or could there be something going on with the hormones that regulate hydration? Could there be a mineral deficiency that's causing the dehydration? Could it be a mineral deficiency in general that's causing the vertigo? So it's crazy because it's one of the hardest things to treat because you have to find the cause. Once you find the cause, you can remedy it pretty quick. In my experience, though, the causes have been all across the board. So my best recommendation for you with your doctor is to be very proactive about checking for everything. Do you have a gut flora imbalance? Is it possible that there's a candida overgrowth or some other bug growing in the gut? Is it possible that you have a mineral deficiency, water hydration issues, hormone imbalances, thyroid imbalances? Is it structural? Is it in the ear? Is it in the neck? Is it in the shoulders? Is it in the spine? Is it in the hips, right? Is there something off that's causing proprioception issues? You have to look at all of that. I know that's not the answer you wanted. You wanted like this quick Dr. Pingel, I got it. But literally, you have to find the cause. And I think part of this is why many people's vertigo randomly just stops. Because whatever the imbalance was in the body just corrected. So definitely make sure, check the hydration issue first. Immunity. I'm going to look that one up. I have another question. Hang on. I see it. I'm just looking it up so I can answer it. I haven't heard of immunity, Wendy. It's a supplement. Sometimes people don't want my opinions on supplements because I read the label really close. The layout of that supplement of the ingredients looks really pretty. I personally myself personally take way more vitamin D, vitamin C, zinc, elderberry, garlic, echinacea, and black pepper on a daily basis than this one. But it could work well. Have you found it work well for you? For kids, maybe, because it's got the lower dose. But yeah, a lot of the times with blends, you have to really look at the source of the blend. The zinc citrate isn't bad, but it's not the best form. So being at 11 milligrams might be a little bit low. That'd be fine for the children, though. So yeah, cool. Thank you for turning me on to another supplement, because I learn about most of these supplements from you guys and from my patients, because I don't know them all. You kind of, as a physician, you get used to seeing a lot of the physician-only brands, right? And the ones that only we can get and only we can sell. And so the testing on it is far more elaborate. So you'll see a lot more proper forms of vitamins per supplement. Does my probiotic contain a prebiotic? No, it does not. I know. Why not, Dr. Pingel? Because technically, if you're eating a good diet, if you're eating a lot of plant-based sources, you're eating a lot of roughage, you're getting prebiotics, okay? Sometimes when you put prebiotics in a probiotic supplement, if you don't have the proper gut flora, it can cause a lot of gas. And so if I were to sell a probiotic to the general public that had the prebiotic in it, I would get a lot of complaints of gas. And even probiotics can do that in the beginning. If your gut flora is really off and you start putting some in that are eating the ones that shouldn't be there, it can cause a lot of gas. So typically, I don't give a prebiotic, particularly to a patient, unless they're not eating the prebiotic foods, and I'm pretty confident that their gut flora is okay. But that is why I don't have one in there. That's the exact reason. So you're going to have to eat more roughage, I guess. Okay. Hang on there, Facebook. Taking dairy out of the diet, yeah, and helps acne. Yeah, that goes back to the weight loss question with taking dairy out. If you find you're one of those people who's like, yeah, right, I'm not taking dairy out of my diet. Like, forget it. I'm over it. I'm going to tell you right now, that's your problem. You're addicted to it. If you're one of those people who's like, oh yeah, I just have dairy every so often, or when I go out to a meal, I don't worry too much about it, or, when I go out to a really nice meal, sometimes I like a really nice blue cheese or something, and you're just randomly just having it every so often, but you could give or take. Okay. But if you're one of those people that's like, no, like, there's no way, I'm not giving up dairy, you're crazy, you're insane, then that's an addiction. That's your body with an addiction to it. So just pay attention to that. Might not be the best thing. Food should not be an addiction in that source. You should crave nutrient-rich foods. If you're craving nutrient-rich foods, if you're craving a kale salad, that means your body's like, hey, I need some vitamin K, I need some minerals, I need some hydration, I need that, right? If you're craving sweet potatoes, your body might be craving a little bit more on the beta carotene or a little bit more on the carbohydrate front in that moment. You find when you clean up your diet that you actually crave foods that your body needs as opposed to foods that your head wants, right? And this is coming. A lot of you give me a hard time. You're like, you wouldn't possibly understand, Dr. Pingel. I was a dairy addict. I ate dairy all the time. I was vegetarian, but I kept dairy in for a very, very, very long time. And when I was told to do a trial to remove it for my acne, I looked at them and said, yeah, no. I mean, I love wine and cheese. You're insane, best thing I ever did. Never looked back. Took about 2 weeks. I craved it for 2 weeks, but I didn't eat it. And then when I was allowed to introduce it back in, first thing I did, grabbed a slice of cheddar and put it on my sandwich, and the next day broke out in zits all over my chin. That's the last time I knowingly ate dairy, and that was 20 years ago, maybe? Crazy. Yes, I love that tofu marinade too. You go to an osteopath for vertigo, great. I appreciate it, Derek, thank you. Thank you. I love you guys being here. People are saying they love these. That's great. I only have a few more minutes, so let me see what we got. When I drink my water in the mornings, I get full and can't eat. If I eat in the mornings, then I'm too full to drink my water. Is that because I'm getting older? You know what? It kind of depends on how much water you drink. I definitely have to drink the majority of my water before noon, or I will not drink it. I've just learned that about my body. You can do smaller sips of water throughout the day. You don't have to guzzle tons of water. You can eat foods that have high water component. A lot of greens, a lot of fruits. You can get water in that way. You can drink herbal teas, not caffeinated teas in this respect, but herbal teas. And I also drink water between meals, not with meals. I mean, I do drink it with meals, but I may take a sip here and there if I need to wash something down, but I'm not actually trying to drink a full glass of water at a meal. I drink in between meals. That's what I carry things like this around. And this is, 50 ounces? About 50 ounces. So I've had this much so far this morning. And I'll have to finish this and then make sure I drink about another half of it by the end of the day. And that's how I keep track of it. But I just do small sips, and I need one, so I'm gonna take one. All right. There you go, Lynn Marie. Thank you. Little sips throughout the day. Yep. Mine says zinc gluconate citrate. The site is totalhealthapothecary.com, and I like zinc bisglycinate and zinc picolinate. And I will go back and write that below your comment once we're all done. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. Last chance. Any more questions? I enjoy these Q and A's. When I first started doing them, I remember I kind of did a trial and nobody asked any questions. And I was like, oh, and I took a break and then started doing these again 2 months ago, and you guys have been so great and asked so many questions, and I really appreciate it because it keeps me coming back with more Q and A's. I guess the day where you guys run out of questions is the day the Q and A will end, right? But I will try to do these. If it's not once a week, it's about every 10 days or so. I kind of rotate it around. I typically do like to do them on Fridays. So if you're someone that wants to prepare, most of the time they're on Friday. Why is it that not all probiotics are effective? I'll give you a quick rundown on that. I do have a couple articles on my website on that as well. And I definitely think I could go into that more, and that might not be a bad idea. I did do a live on probiotics as well, but there's many factors that play into probiotics effectiveness. One, how they get to the gut. So what they're encapsulated in matters, because you have acid in your stomach. So if you're going to take a probiotic in and it dissolves in the stomach and is released in the stomach, you're going to kill off pretty much everything in there. A lot of people don't think about that one, right? It has to get to where it needs to go before it's released, right? Number two, what's in it? Lactobacillus, what types of lactobacillus, bifidobacterium, Saccharomyces, what's the blend of probiotics is another thing that's very important. Number three, when it comes to the number of them. For example, I think a yogurt has 1 billion, I'm recommending a minimum of 20 billion, right? So that's 20 yogurts a day. And yogurt, has a certain balance of probiotics that's different from a commercial probiotic. So those are some things to consider, but also the labeling. And this is where most people buy the wrong probiotic, is in the label. It says multi-strain, high potency probiotic, but then it labels on there, let's say 20 billion probiotics, and there's no expiration date. So what you don't know is whether the probiotic was 20 billion at packaging or whether it was 20 billion at expiration. Does that make sense? So you could be buying one that you think is 20 billion, but the minute that you open it, it's at 5 billion or at 1 billion or dropping in potency. You will always see on probiotics, in fact, you will always see on potent probiotics, here's my probiotic right here, an expiration date. If you don't see an expiration date, that's not good, because they're going to expire, because they're live organisms. There's also a difference between refrigerated or not. Mine is freeze-dried, okay? So it's freeze-dried to be stable at shelf. Now, once you open the bottle, you have so much time to use it. So this is a 30-day supply. I would say you have longer than 30 days before it loses its potency. I'd probably double that. In fact, actually, no, with this one, it would lose its potency on 6/2021. But when you open it and you expose air to it, you could speed that process up a little bit. So it's intended to be utilized within, I would say within 60 days or so, 30 capsules would be utilized within 60 days. And if it doesn't, the lowest it has been recorded is at 20 billion. So you're still getting way more than that. So that means when they package this, it could have been upwards of 100 billion per capsule, but by expiration, it's at 20 billion. So it's how they label it. I do know that in Canada, they're required to label it that way. In the US, they are not. So they can put 1,000 billion organisms in there, but the next day they could be gone, right? So that's very important as well. So stability, what the medium was that it was grown on. Was it grown on dairy? Was it grown on apricot? Is it shelf stable? Is it sensitive to light? Is it sensitive to temperature? And what is actually in it and how stable is it? That's a problem with most of the probiotics in the market, is they don't tell you that. And I've even called supplement companies on behalf of patients and asked those questions, because someone will say, well, is this a good probiotic? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I haven't played with it. And I'll call the company and ask those questions, and they can't answer it. And if they can't answer the question, or they can't tell you when it expires, or whether the label was at packaging or at expiration, that's a red flag that it's probably not the best probiotic. And probiotics are expensive in general. So you don't want to fork over all that money for something that isn't giving you what you want. I know that felt like the long answer. That was actually the short answer. So, what are your best tips on toning the body? Hands down, Pilates. Pilates, that's what I do. Hands down. I have a live. If you missed it, Mariah, I did a live on Pilates with my Pilates instructor. She's incredible. And she talked a lot about how Pilates helps stress, but also the benefits of Pilates in general. And I have an article on that as well. I highly recommend a well-trained Pilates instructor to teach you how to do Pilates and teach you the discipline. You never master it. And I think there's also some value in that. You're always pushing yourself to the next level and getting stronger and stronger. Okay. I got to wrap this up soon. You're welcome, Richard. Why do my left leg muscles give out for half a second while walking, then recover? I don't know. Some possible things to look into are blood perfusion issues, iron status, nutritional status, hydration status, inflammatory markers, autoimmune. You have to do a good evaluation to find out. That would not be a normal response unless there's some sort of flow issue or possibly lack of oxygen or water. So check that one out with your doctor. And if you get a more specific diagnosis, come back to a Q and A and let me know, and I'll try to give you some insight. Okay? I have zinc with glycinate with zinc bisglycinate 30 with pumpkin seed oil. I love pumpkin seed oil. I mean, I don't know the product you're doing, but I mean, it sounds like it's the right form, and I love pumpkin seed oil. So Mary, it sounds pretty good. I mean, better than most. Okay? Is Pilates great for lower back pain? It is. I know that sounds crazy, but it is. Go back and watch that live. Read the article. Pilates, if done correctly, can repair so many injuries and pains. If done incorrectly, it will make it worse. And I think that's what most people do. They go to a gym that they just do like a mat Pilates class with 200 other people, and they don't learn how to do it correctly. And if you don't learn how to do it correctly, you're opening yourself up to a lot of injury. If you do it correctly, though, you can absolutely do it. Now, I know a couple people normally present in my lives, not sure if they're here today, that just started Pilates and are going through this process. And I would love to have their feedback someday on how it's going, because it really is a discipline, and it's learning how to do things correctly. And things like back pain shouldn't get in your way if you have the right instructor. Okay? You are Very welcome. You're very welcome. All right, guys, it's already 10:04. We went for a while, but hey, it's Friday, and I am so excited for that, and I actually have Pilates here in a short while, so I better go get changed and get out the door and try to enjoy my weekend. So I will be back Monday, as usual, at my usual time with another topic. So thank you to all of you for the great questions. If I did not answer your question well, because obviously I'm on the fly, feel free to comment. I do go back in and look. I'll do my best to guide you on what to ask your doctor or what to look at. So just holler if you didn't get a lot of clarification. I do my best, but you know, it is morning and it is Friday. So you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.